Hi, everybody. Welcome to yet another episode of the Just Gaming Tingz Podcast. Can you believe it? We bring an all queer perspective on video games, gaming news, and nerdy stuff every Saturday here on twitch.tv/gamingtingz at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then eventually on YouTube and your favorite podcast services. At this point, I do not promise anything. You know, we usually say the next day.
Ruby, it gets there, and that's all that matters. It makes
Eventually, it gets uploaded. You know,
just say within the week. And
it'll get there.
So much room, so much time.
Before the end of the calendar month, it will be up at some point or time. And whenever you find us on there, please go follow us on your favorite podcast platforms: Twitch, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, your favorite platform of choice. You know, it's free. Why not? Just do it. You know what I mean? Come on now. But let's introduce ourselves really quickly. So we have, firstly, the iconic Dextralicious. Hello.
Hi, hello.
Feeling iconic on this day?
Maybe so.
Sure, why not? Are you feeling iconic, Jam?
Always. When I'm around you guys, when can I not feel like fantastic?
As if you're not iconic in your own merit. I'm like, come on now.
I love it here.
Is it that you're iconic because of us, or we're iconic because of you? Let's talk about that. Let's have that conversation.
And that's the real tea.
We're the Megazord of being iconic.
The ultimate icon, the gay Megazord.
I love that.
We're Megazord. We're here.
We're surely a colorful cast. We'll say that. Hi, Koga. Are you feeling iconic today?
Oh, yes, I am. Yes.
Yes. You know, we will get into it at some point, but at this point, you're a prophet, and we need to talk about it because things happened and we predicted it, and you predicted it, and yeah. But before that,
y'all will see.
Let's introduce another icon. Hi, Lotus.
Hi. How you doing?
Oh, you know, feeling great since y'all are here with me on this day. You know. I'm also feeling iconic. Hello, I never introduced myself. I'm Ruby.
Ruby, the icon.
They were like, someone was probably listening to this on the podcast services, and they were like, who the fuck is that talking this whole time? And I was like, well, let me introduce literally everyone else before I introduce myself. Last but not least, another fucking icon. Hi, Rued.
A fucking icon with huge fucking tits, mate. That's me. Hi, everyone.
We love to see it. This is exactly what we needed. My God. But yes, we did indeed have a moment of prophecy where we all said, it's recorded, you can go back and listen to other episodes.
I think it's 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Literally.
2 weeks ago.
We said once Koga Jangles purchases a Switch, the new one is going to be announced. And Jam, what happened this week?
Y'all, literally, I go into our chat and I say, Koga predicted it. He said, you wanted a new Switch? I'm going to go buy one so you can get it. We thought it would be a couple months, but it was only 2 weeks later. And now we have one, and they updated it a little bit. It wasn't the Switch we wanted, but I guess it's the Switch they thought we deserved. Let's see. Let me get to this article and
Miss Nintendo Switch OLED.
Yes, Nintendo Switch OLED model.
OLED.
I love that, like, OLED model. That's what we changed. It has a better screen. And I was like, really?
Mm-hmm.
No new processor, no new. I was like, what?
No long-lasting battery life.
I know. When we talked about it initially, I said, oh, you know, they've really been saying they're not going to do like a Pro. They're not going to do a 4K. But I wasn't expecting it to just be the screen.
Yeah.
I was like, it'll probably be everything gets a little extra, but it was like,
I joked.
The thing about... Go ahead, Jim.
Go ahead. Go run.
The thing about it though is I'm pretty sure the original Switch is only 6.2 inches, and they're like on a huge 7-inch OLED screen.
Oh my god.
Okay, girl, those 0.8 inches are really gonna make a difference.
Okay,
sometimes it can.
No. Let me get my ruler.
Oh, we got props.
What's happening?
Let's see. Okay, so we have 7. Oh, we're mirroring. We have 7. Yeah. Compared to what, like 6.2?
Wow.
So nothing.
Wow.
No
You know
child.
what? Life
Wild.
changing, if you ask me.
So much of a difference.
It'll make you feel something. Those 0.8
But-
inches.
0.8.
But
Math?
they gave a few little changes, right? So you have the 7-inch OLED screen, right, which will make it look nicer in handheld mode. It now has 64 gigabytes of internal storage, which is nice, up from what, like 8?
It was like,
Or like 30?
It had
Was it
32
32?
gigs.
Because it
and
felt like it
then-
went away immediately with one game. So
It did.
Right.
It sure did.
2 games.
Oh, I thought you said 0.7 to 0.2.
Oh,
I was like, huh?
No.
sorry, my bad.
No, you probably said it
Let me
right.
show my
Mike.
work. I'll show my work.
Look,
Now you're telling your
I
way.
woke up at 11 a.m., ate a piece of cake, and came straight here. So my brain is not operating at all.
Listen.
But oh my gosh. But I joked in our chat also that this feels like what they did with the 3DS, which is like, let me make a ton of little iterative changes that are nice once you start using them and you realize, yes, this is a better version of the thing I had, but it's just more of the same, just slightly changed until you finally get to the new version or just get rid of it. And I'm just like, don't do this.
But
Don't
I
literally
They're going to.
heard
They
that there
have
was
to.
more to the
They
new
must.
one. There was more to the new 3DS than this. Like,
There
You're not
was.
wrong. You're not
That's-
wrong.
Yeah.
This is the iPhone school of upgrades.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yep.
Very true.
But what does everyone else think other than that this is clown behavior? But also, wait for it.
But this is literally coming from Clown Central, so are we surprised? My main thing is like, yeah, it definitely feels like the gaming industry is heading into that direction with like that phones have gotten into for a long time, where you just get like little updates here and there. It's not gonna make a huge difference, but it's gonna basically you're only going to feel a difference after some time. So basically by the next maybe 1 or 2 new models, we're going to be like, okay, I need the new one because now the old ones are not it. And I think it's a decent way of like justifying the difference. And also makes it so that hopefully, you know, whenever a new model comes, the older ones kind of become a little bit more accessible for people to purchase. So, because it's interesting, because leading up to this, I definitely have seen a lot of like, at least over here, a lot of like retailers doing like bundles and stuff like that and sales for the Switch. And I was like, they keep saying there's no new Switch coming, yet the more time goes by, the current Switch is kind of depreciating in value. So I was like, what's the truth? Because retailers don't just do sales because they want to, right? Like, we know that it always comes from the source. So yeah, I mean, my main thing is like, I'm not someone who uses the Switch in handheld mode at all. I've always preferred to just put the games on the biggest screen possible, and I'll play it like that. So for me, it's not like, you know, a huge change. Like, the only thing that they did for the docked mode was that they added the Ethernet port that literally should have been there. Like we've said, like, it literally should have been there from day one. So yeah, I mean, this is cute. I've already seen a few people saying that this works for them because they are more of a handheld person, and that's their appeal on the Switch. So for them, it's going to make the experience better. And so for that, I'm like, okay, work. But, you know, they still haven't really addressed that the Joy-Con problems. So I'm assuming that these brand new white Joy-Cons are gonna be just as fucked up as as the rest of them.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, are
Yeah.
you fixing that? When's the new Joy-Cons coming? But yeah, that's basically it for me. Like, I'm just like, okay, sure, not for me, but I'm sure people will like it.
True. I mean, also considering in handheld mode, they enhance the sound. The sound quality apparently is going to be better, which, I mean, none of us have put our hands on it, so how can we tell? The 64 gigabyte internal storage and the new kickstand. Also, as a person who does not primarily use their Switch in handheld mode as much, like, and since I have like a Switch Lite too, where I could just kind of like, if I really wanted to play something on the road, like I could just use that. It's just kind of like, okay, like, well, you gave us something, not really what we wanted. But I think if we are looking at what Jam's presenting as like, or whoever presented it with the 3DS models, where we get little things over time, like, it makes sense because, I mean, we also have to look at Nintendo now as a whole, where they have completely they're not moving on forward with the 3DS. This is their handheld and this is their console. So they're going to have to kind of follow that line of I mean, at least in their head, we're going to follow the same lifeline as the 3DS, because I mean it lasted for however long it did, for several years. But I think the good thing about this model is it's not going to instantly separate those who have purchased a Switch recently in comparison to if it was an Pro model. I think a Pro model, whatever, we're talking, new processor, maybe it's not, you can't even like undock it, maybe it'll just be a full console. That's not going to be a thing, but I don't know. Just making things up in my head. This isn't going to fully separate it, and including the price too, where at least in American dollars, it's only $50 more than the regular Switch. So it's not fully separating yet. When you think of a Pro model or something of a console, you're probably going to pay, like, let's look at the PlayStation 4. You're probably going to pay an extra $200, $150 more. So I think this is a really nice middle of the line model, and maybe we might be
On the
seeing
way
these old. Yeah, we might be seeing the older models of Switch phased out, and those Switches will no longer be. And it might just be the Switch Lite, Switch OLED, and then, I mean, the Switch Pro rumors have not stopped. The
Right.
Nintendubers are still like, oh, well, blah, 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 blah. There's still speculation out there. So I don't think this is the end of, we're going to see another console. Maybe not soon, but probably within the next 2 years.
Oh, for sure. What's the over-under on it being a better Switch or a little Switch, like a Switch Mini? What do you give it?
A Switch Mini.
Not a Switch
Yeah.
Mini.
That reminds me of the Game Boy Advance Mini, and I don't even know why that thing.
My hope is that what they do is like, they're like, okay, this is an upgrade to like the full Switch, right? And I think my hope is that if it's the next small upgrade within the next year and a half, is just like, let's upgrade the Switch Lite to be in line with this one, and then after that you go to the next like actual model of a Switch that's like a new Switch, but it's still kind of the same thing. Because I think the docking system that they've come up with, I think they're going to potentially not want to get rid of that. And they'll say, oh, if you have a dock, you don't need to buy. Eventually, they'll kind of phase out having to buy a dock, and you just buy the console that slips into the dock, and they don't have to spend money making that anymore, right? Because they're using USB-C to put output to things like HDMI, and that saves them on making that product from down the line. And I think that's partly why you see this upgrade of the dock to be more in line with what people need and want. Then you move, and then they just start selling, oh, we're just going to sell the Switch part, and you just stick it in, and you only get the mobile part, and you can plug and play.
I don't think, because of how limited the Switch Lite already is, if they were to do a Switch Lite Mini or something, I think that would exclude even more games from their lineup on those, and I don't think that would be good. So I do agree with Jam that they may upgrade the Switch to, Switch Lite OLED, and maybe those can play even more games than what the Switch Lite can.
Right.
Yeah, because it's limited. I forgot that when it first came out, they're like, yeah, it can't play all of the games the Switch can, and I was like, so what's the point?
What's the point?
Just portable. Just portable for people that want it.
But yeah, no,
And the-
it makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
And the
cheaper.
other thing is that the Switch Lite is already tiny. It's
Yeah.
it's tiny, so I can't imagine
I've
it getting
never
any
seen
smaller.
Can fit in
Oh,
your
excellent.
pocket.
Do you can Dex? Can you throw
Yeah,
in
it's
your
small.
ruler, please?
Can we get a
I
ruler for
go.
comparison, please?
Thanks.
Much appreciated.
You're welcome.
I would say that like
Alright.
I feel like some people were like, "Oh, Nintendo being Nintendo," but like this this is not really a Nintendo specific problem. Like, not trying to defend them, but this is literally the equivalent of, you know, PlayStation being like, "Oh, here's the PlayStation 4 and here's the Slim." Right? This is basically that equivalent that happens literally every single time within any console's like lifespan, right? There's always a revision model made that's supposed to be a little bit better, performing a little bit better, having some features that maybe it didn't have in the, you know, at launch and stuff like that. So, you know, it doesn't really surprise me that they did this. There are some theories, and I would love to kind of get a little bit into it. There are some rumors that the Switch didn't do a huge upgrade because it's so hard to come by like graphics cards and processors. So some people are saying that this is a Nintendo kind of like middle ground solution to like, we really wanted to do a Switch Pro, but the reality is that we really can't realistically manufacture that, especially with, you know, COVID still being a thing and affecting so many countries, and even like nowadays a lot of countries are seeing a spike in numbers again and stuff like that. So it's not really, that's definitely something that could have impacted. And I feel like sometimes gamers do forget that like, you know, we are still in a pandemic and like stuff is probably not going as planned for literally anybody. So do y'all think that could be a thing where maybe this isn't what they planned, but they kind of had to go with it?
I've heard about that.
It's in this one.
Yeah. Like, I could kind of see that because I know that with the screen, they got that from Samsung and they had to like pay for all that. So it could have been that they were originally planning on doing that, but maybe there was a shortage on chips or something. But they had to do something with these screens, these OLED screens. So that could have been, but I'm honestly not sure. I mean, I have to be honest with all the rumors at this point. I'm not putting much thought into that. I'm just leaving it as I'll call it when I see it, because I don't want to be like a bunch of people who are disappointed at, you know, thinking it was supposed to be something that Nintendo never said it was gonna be.
Right.
They said
For me?
there was nothing there anyway, so
Right. It's like what Ruby said, people are saying Nintendo gonna Nintendo, but it's like all the way back in 2017, Nintendo said, we're not gonna do a Pro Switch. Like, we're just not gonna do it. So like I understand why
They
people
did
want
say
the
that.
Switch.
They did say that.
Like, it wasn't even like, oh, we interpreted it that they meant this. They said, we're not gonna do it.
Right.
So
Multiple times.
I get why people want it so bad, because it would be nice, but it's like the wishful thinking, the fandom has gotten to a kind of ridiculous point, I feel like, where I mean, we saw Bloomberg, which I could have an hour-long rant about that one, but we saw Bloomberg saying there's going to be a new Switch. The Switch Pro is coming. No, they just misheard rumors about the OLED Switch and decided that that was going to be the Switch Pro because they said upgraded and they were wanting to think that. And like, we've gotten to a point where if gamers want something bad enough, they will create rumors that eclipse whatever other thing. Like we saw, gosh, I don't remember the studio name, but a new game came out and Jason Schreier, who is arguably the biggest game journalist in the world, said, kind of looks like Silent Hill, huh? And then the rumors flew, and now those developers are being harassed en masse because they're not Silent Hill and they're lying about working with Kojima. And so, like, that reminds me of the Switch Pro. Like, if they say they're not going to do it, and Nintendo historically doesn't, you know, operate at the highest graphical fidelity and stuff, then like, why do we think they're gonna do it? You know what I mean?
I don't know, and I think that's the thing. People don't like this is nothing new with what Nintendo does. To me personally, I've looked at the Switch more of a handheld first, and then you put it on the dock. So when you look at it from that perspective, how many times have Nintendo made a handheld and then made another one and then another one? And that third one that came out was probably like, why is this here? Like the DSi.
2DS,
Come on, DSi.
3DS,
It had a camera. It was
XL.
very necessary.
Oh my god, I
And they
love
took
my
off
upgraded like
I want my Switch with a
alternate
camera.
reality.
So,
Yeah,
I
I
want
want
my
my
Switch
Switch with the
so I can
camera.
walk
I want to be
around.
taking I want to be taking
Pokemon
selfies
Snap,
like in 7th
real
grade.
and they took off
Pokemon
backwards
Go Snap.
compatibility with the Game Boy Advance games when they did that.
Yes,
So I don't
that was
get
so
it.
disappointing.
So I
DS
mean,
Lite, king of consoles.
absolutely, followed by the SP. Game Boy Advance
Mhm.
SP was pretty cool. I don't know what the micro was about, but like with them making like another Switch like this, it's kind of like, okay, well, who is it going to be for? And to me, it just seems like it's more going to be for people who are, again, who are going to play it in handheld. But if you're like a person who plays it on TV, not really. And if it's not for you, then it's just not for you. It's not worth getting upset about. I mean, I would like a more powerful piece of hardware because I've seen a few of these games struggle a little bit, but I mean, they're probably just not going to. And as for the price, I would have preferred it to have been $300, but the regular Switch is still selling, so there's no point to them changing the price if it's still flying off the shelves. So, I mean, for me, it's not worth it currently, but I can see some people wanting to get it, but it kind of, for me, it goes into that. I'm curious how well it's going to do, but I think some people are going to, like, it's Nintendo, it's going to sell, and they do this all the time. So, but the rumors, I've heard quite a few of them afterwards, and I guess I'm gonna just wait until more comes out and not listen to rumors because I don't care for them. Like, I don't know, watching Nintendo YouTubers since I've started this thing on 2 weeks ago has kind of, like, I love some of y'all, but I don't need like a video on this every day. Please.
It was fun for a while.
It gets exhausting, speculation videos, like especially around Pokemon time, like a new Pokemon game. The Poketubers go.
I lie down.
Why? I'm sorry, Poketubers, but y'all go too ham sometimes, and we do not need you to analyze every little bit and second of like this or that. Like, girl, it's just too much. It's too much.
And I think the problem is. Oh, go ahead.
Go, Ruben. Go ahead.
You.
Okay, I'll go quickly. I think, and that's the thing. Like, we definitely realized this with like Pokemon Sword and Shield because a lot of people got too hyped and then they were disappointed in the game, right? But the same thing. But I still played it, right? And it's like you can't be disappointed when you decided to look at things before it was out, right? Like, it's like I'm not that disappointed in the new Switch because I think the upgrades are nice. Would I buy it right now? No. But if I didn't have a Switch and I was going to go buy one, I would probably go spend the extra $50 for the OLED one because I'm like, okay, it does have the nicer screen. The dock actually looks like it's built better than like the original one was, and it has the Ethernet port. Like, it has all of the little things that like make it just a slightly better console. But you can't be disappointed because some person on YouTube told you, hey, there's going to be a Switch Pro and it's going to be able to do all the things that like your Xbox One, Series X can do or your PlayStation 5 can do. It's like, that's not Nintendo's gig. That's not what they do. They're like, we stay in our lane. We sell you games for $60 for all of eternity and you will continue to buy them. And you know what? We do.
Except for Koga.
Yes, Lord Nintendo.
Yeah. Literally, they've sold 78 million like consoles, so they're fine. They're fine. And yeah, you basically nailed it. Like what I was gonna say, it's like people, especially like the Pokemon community, is very much in line with the Nintendo community as well, which is like believing something is gonna happen, and then of course finding the things that kind of substantiate those rumors and the theories and all of that. And then when it doesn't happen, they're like, wow, they flopped. This is literally nobody wants this. And it's like, do you know that there's people who play video games who are not on Twitter and who don't really listen to these podcasts and stuff like that, and they literally will just show up at their local retailer and they're like, oh, I've been meaning to buy a Nintendo Switch for a little bit. Oh, there's a new one. Okay, cute. they don't give a shit about how much storage it has. They don't care if this like how many inches are in the screen. They don't care about stuff like that. They literally will just show up and get the consoles, and that applies to literally everything, like with PlayStation, Xbox, etc. People don't, the general public does not care. And that's literally who they're like marketing for, and rightfully so. Like, gamers are very complex and they don't know what they want because they will yell about wanting something, and then they're given that and then they don't buy it, or they complain that it's not what they wanted. So or they're like, I wanted that but like not like that. So, you know, the gamer TM audience is not what literally any of these companies is targeting for at all. But yeah, speaking of Nintendo, oh boy.
I'm ready to get into this one. All right. Okay. So Nintendo fears a popular ROM website could make a comeback.
Oh no.
Oh yes.
Oh no.
Nintendo has voiced concerns over the website ROM Universe making a possible return in the future. The company's legal representation recently spoke to the founder of the website, Matthew Storman, who apparently hasn't ruled out a comeback, even after being ordered to pay $2.1 million in damages earlier this year. In fact, the operator of the website has now filed a motion for the damages to be scrapped, arguing Nintendo has not actually suffered and questioning if gaming copyrights were registered at the time. Storman's only insurance to Nintendo lawyer is that a site relaunch will not feature the company's titles. California's federal court previously decided against giving Storman a permanent injunction as Nintendo failed to show it was suffering irreparable harm. And the site has already been shut down. The video game giant is now asking the court to reconsider the decision. Now, as a person that's not really much of a Nintendo fan anymore, and all I have to say is, like, girl, sit down. You don't need that money. Like, you literally don't need that money. And I would understand suing these people if you allowed all these games to be available on everything, or as much as you can. But 99% of the games that have been in the past are still not playable anywhere else, except for those consoles that aren't available anymore, are only available on eBay for $500+. So it's you can't get angry that people want to play your games and you don't give any way of having people play them unless they just own it already. So it's just, there's no safe way of enjoying old games. So it's them wanting to take down this company for having ROMs of games that aren't even available anymore anywhere. It's some clown shit, and I'm so tired of it. What do y'all think?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree wholeheartedly. It's one of those things where it's is it illegal? Yes. Did the founder knowingly do something that was technically illegal? Yes. Why is it illegal? Huh?
Right.
It don't make no sense. It is it's obviously it's on a really high corporate level, like Disney, where it's just protecting future assets, so to speak. Can we just be honest? The only reason Final Fantasy VII Remake exists is because Square Enix was going to go under again. So they said, you know what'll make us a lot of money in 4 seconds? Final Fantasy VII Remake. The same way the first Final Fantasy rescued us. So it's just Nintendo saying, oh, we have to make sure that, well, honestly, Nintendo's so successful, they're probably not worried about going under. They're probably worrying about not making a 1,000% return on investment 1 year. We can't dip down to $9.99. That's unacceptable. So it's just them hanging on to that concept, but they can't prove that they lost money. And it's impossible to prove that you might lose money in the future because we're not in, the dystopia future psychic comp timeline yet.
A game. If you were selling it, you could have an argument, but you're not even selling it to me. It's non-existent.
Completely out of print.
I'm so blown away that the judge was really you're not suffering irreparable harm. Sit down. And I'm was I the judge?
And then it's so funny because then like they're like, well, he's not paying us his $50 a month that he said he would pay us, that he agreed to. And it's just like, Nintendo, what is that $50 gonna do for you? You were supposed to get $2.1 million, and this guy is never going to pay that back. He's never going to pay that back at $50 a month. First off, you messed up there thinking you're going to get $2.1 million and then putting someone on a $50 payment plan. Like, girl, you're fine. You're fine.
Come on,
calculator.
Right.
We are propful today.
I still got my TI-84, my Texas Instrument.
Just in case I gotta take calculus again. Just in case.
It's also like that idea of like, what are you gonna do with the money? Are you gonna port these games into your Switch so that people can buy them and play them? No, you're not. So like,
they will for a few months.
Right, exactly. Right. It's like, no, we don't want you to emulate our games because we are gonna emulate them ourselves and charge you for it. But like, yeah, it's the average person doesn't emulate a game that they can purchase. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Absolutely. Like the average person is gonna emulate a game that they probably own, but they don't have the hardware for it anymore, or that the game literally isn't on sale anymore. And it's like, why is it illegal for people to distribute ROMs of a game, but it's not illegal for someone to profit off of a game that they didn't make by reselling it online? Mm-hmm. So it's like,
don't give them any ideas, Ruby, please. No, don't try it. You know they will.
The retro market is gonna.
They
come.
Probably have. They probably have. Before.
I mean, look, the retro market is blowing up right now. Look at those. Right. The sealed copy of Legend of Zelda that has like one imperfection or something that sold. I don't know how much it sold for. I think it officially sold though, but it's just like, you kind of sit there and you're like, why is this? It's just funny because it's just like, why are you telling us this is how much it is? Because it's such a rarity. Like that, I don't know. I think that's so silly. But the retro is popping off right now. Pop off, girly. Mm-hmm. Pop off, retro. Yeah. Also, Nintendo, if you're so worried about this, don't wait monthly to release games on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System and the NES system on the Switch. Don't wait monthly. Just put them on there and be like, hey, look what we did. Because then we would appreciate you a lot more, other than waiting month by month. Be like, hey, guess what? We added one game, and it's a game that no one knows, but it's on there for you. Like the laziest thing that they've done is there are some Japanese games that have been ported onto there, and then they didn't even translate them. Yeah, like what's the point? I can't read what's going on.
I was literally just thinking, arguably the most famous like ROM issue of all time, probably other than Pokemon Uranium, is Mother 3 fan English translation. Because, if you wanted to play, if there was a Pokemon game that was never translated into English, you could probably figure it out in Japanese. If you wanted to play some kind of puzzle game like Tetris in Japanese, you could probably do it. Mother 3 is unplayable if you do not speak the language. Nintendo, again, it's a constant meme that they're never going to re-release it. They've never indicated they want to re-release it. Like, on Mother 3's like 25th anniversary or whatever, they released like a little baggie that had the logo on it, and that was it. So it's like, how, again, even if it's technically illegal, it's ridiculous. You're never going to release it. And if you do, you're probably never going to release it into a state that is playable for a significant amount of people. And it's just obscene. I will say, though, it's been like a running thing with any kind of technology-related lawsuit, like we saw with Apple and Epic and stuff, that these lawyers are all fuddy-duddies and they do not know what is going on. They're like, itch.io with the unspeakable games? What you mean you can't download it on your phone? It's like
they're in it for the money.
Yes, that's why I think it's so funny that it has served like the greater good in this case, that this judge was like, are they available? No? Well, fuck you. Get out.
Right. Nintendo's like, we've suffered irreparable damages. And they're like, have you? Let's see the receipts. And they're like, well, I guess you didn't, did you?
Exactly.
And it's also with Nintendo, they're asking for 2.1 million in 3,500 years. So
But what's the truth? What's the truth? Do you want the money or not?
There's a movie out there somewhere about some, dystopian future, someone born into poverty because evil Mr. King Nintendo messed up his great grandpappy, and he has to like rally against them.
Yeah, right.
Right.
That's
Some
a
cyberpunk
movie.
nonsense.
Oh my
Yeah,
That's a
god.
Mr.
movie.
Hollywood, if you'd like to contact me, my email is available in my Twitter bio for business.
Thank you.
My
Thank you.
god.
Yeah, I feel like they just kind of. I mean, maybe they did it to send a message because
Yeah.
they're not getting that back clearly. And the thing is, he mostly only made money off of the website, which he had to take down. So now didn't really have any income. So what is he going
But
to pay
how
you
did-
back with?
But wait, my question is, how did he make that money? I'm sure by ad revenue, not by people downloading these games, right?
Probably
So it's not like,
donations as well. Some people
Yeah,
like
sometimes have
Wikipedia.
that. Yeah.
yeah, like, girl, if he's not making money off of your games, I think that's a completely different thing. Like, if he's just getting it from ad revenue and stuff, that's different. That's
Yeah.
different.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could argue he's selling a
Fuddy-duddy
service.
lawyers.
He's not selling the game, which technically would be the same thing as an arcade.
Right.
Yeah.
Ding.
Yeah, to me
Go
it's
shut down those.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, to me, I was just gonna say, to me, it's at the same level of like, reselling a game that you already own. It's like Nintendo's not gonna make that money anyway. That copy
Mhm.
already exists. It doesn't get produced anymore. So it's like, why don't we just allow people to enjoy it? You know what I mean? It's just like, for me, it's a very silly thing of like, if you're not gonna sell it and you allow other people to sell like used copies, then why is it wrong for this individual to be like, hey, I really love this game. Let me basically archive it on the internet and allow for other people to play it for free, while literally using software that they either created or another fan created for the purpose of that. And it's like, they're not stealing anything from you. They're literally just, they're just sharing that. And it's like, if you want to make money off of it, you can literally just like sell the game and then be like, hey, take that down because we're selling the game. And then they would be like, okay, sure, that makes sense. But this to me is just silly. It's just clownery to me.
Agreed.
Yep.
All right.
Well.
Oh,
Wait.
Lord,
See you in
Nintendo.
3,500 years.
Yeah, they got that
Well,
money.
then,
Love that. From Nintendo to Sega. Oh boy. Oh.
Sega do what Nintendo do.
We would hope Nintendo wouldn't do this.
No, not at all. So there was a NPC name that was recently changed in Phantasy Star Online 2. The NPC was originally named Diga, and then they changed it to Exator. And although the implication of the word, the way it comes off, the spelling of it, it's
It's the
the
spelling
product.
that really takes it home.
Yeah, the product quality team should have really gone to the developers and been like, listen, we know you really love this name. You shouldn't. Like, we're gonna change it. So just so you all know, but that slipped under the rug. And to me, when I saw this article, I started thinking, because I recently had come across I'm playing Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, and there's an area which I haven't been to because I just wanted to see how to get to it. But it's called like the Oriental Lab, and I was just like,
Oh boy.
Oriental? Ooh.
Really?
Oof. Like that's tough. That's I mean, that's like, it's just there. You say it's there. So I think it should be creating a bigger this incident, and just looking at other things like I feel like there are other words out there, especially ableist words, that should be really taken away from a lot of, not taken away, but they should be like, there should be a true looking at of how we are speaking
Right.
in games. And I was just trying. So this led me on like a different kind of thing because I wanted to be like, well, what else could they have called it? So I was looking up alternatives to the word Oriental, and I came across a few articles written by Asian Americans, and one was actually a doctor of acupuncture and Oriental medicine. And her argument was, her name was Jane Tsuchiyama. Her argument is that it wasn't really offensive to her, and that it would cost millions of dollars to change a lot of things across the board from Oriental to something else. Keep in mind these articles were written 2015, 2016, so we have experienced some things since then.
To say
We
the
have
least.
experienced, yeah, we have experienced a huge presidency that has really put in a lot of things into perspective here in America. And the other author, Kat Chow, she was explaining how it comes down to the bending of the will of people willing to let these words go, and how it's an iron bar that you're not going to bend. And I'm like, "Ooh, girl, well, if only you knew in 2020 and 2021 what we would be willing to bend and what we would be like willing to let go." So, but what are y'all thoughts on the
Okay,
whole?
hate to bring up Nintendo again, but well,
We just can't get away
It
from
has
them.
been 0 days since a Nintendo reference.
listen, okay, so it mainly deals with Pokemon, and I think y'all know which Pokemon I'm going to talk about, right?
I
Okay,
do.
I think they,
Oh
I think
no.
they came in X and Y and or whatever game, and when I tell you when I first heard it, I just because it deals with the same minor guy from PSO2 is the Pokemon's name was Diggersby.
Yes.
And
There's another one too that I'd like to talk about in a second.
oh, like you could talk about that too, because I'm not sure about that one. I know with this one it's like a rock, like dirt bunny, and
Mhm. He's so
it's
ugly
not
too.
good. Yeah, it's disgusting and it's so rotten. And it's just like this shouldn't be allowed. Like, why is it? Why was this able to slide? Nintendo, Pokemon, Game Freak. Like, what is this? Like, I just don't know how like people can just not be like, oh yeah, this doesn't have any implications. This wouldn't be misconstrued. Like, you have to have some sense of awareness, or a team that has some sense of awareness, like
Sensitivity
looking
readers
through
on
these.
Pokemon?
Right. Like, can you believe?
Can you believe? I mean, obviously, Nintendo gets a lot of passes. I think it's fair to say that overall, Japanese developers get a lot of passes because people are like,
Yeah.
Japan, it's the land of anime. It's so cute. Ignore what happened in the 1940s and 1950s. They could never do anything wrong. They just don't understand. And it's like, no, there really should be some level of checks on this because Diggersby's name, you read it just fine, but it's saying it that is so difficult to say.
Yeah.
And it's just very uncomfortable. The other Pokemon, which is who I thought you were talking about first, is the sarcophagus Pokemon called Cofagrigus.
Oh
And
yeah.
the word sarcophagus, the last few letters are Phagus. And you know how Pokemon always does it to spice it up. They like change what certain letters are so it kind of sounds the same. So Cofagrigus' name is spelled Cofag, which happens to be a slur. So unfortunately, for a while, Cofagrigus had to be banned from Pokemon tournaments because people couldn't talk about it in the chat because they would get censored when they would say its name because it has a slur in it. So it's like there's just a lack of forethought that is going into a lot of these things. Like I'm sure we can already like hear the comments in our head of like, why did you change it? That's being so sensitive. And it's like, bro, just let someone take over. Japanese to English translators for Japanese games are way too cheeky. When I played Final Fantasy 14, I shouldn't have gotten a mini quest called the Iron Contra Affair. We shouldn't be like hee hee hoo hoo pee pee poo pooing about, you know, the genocide of Arab people that the United States is going on about because some little gerblins are stealing iron. It's just not the one for me. There's a little bit they could get away with a little bit too much for my liking and be like, no, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm glad they changed. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But we live in a well-connected world at this point. Like,
Yeah.
if you're working at companies like that, the internet exists. One.
Mm-hmm.
Two, hire someone, and then in your translation process, the person who's translating it speaks the language. They know some of these things. They can. It's beyond me. It's ridiculous.
I mean, what it comes all down to, I mean, it's just like what we just previously talked about with Nintendo. It's all about money. That's all it is. Like, they're just like, oh, this ROM site is hurting us. And it's just like, girl, how? And then they don't want to put the effort into preventing things like this. You know, they don't want to put a queer person or a POC person in the room to be like, hey, wait a minute, maybe not.
It's
and
get it out
it's
the
just
door
like,
as fast as possible.
Like,
yeah,
maybe
exactly.
add a little letter here or change
Yeah.
those few letters there.
Right. I think for me, I have a problem when people are kind of like, oh, they didn't know any better. And it's like, really? Because I don't even feel comfortable saying the NPC name from the Phantasy Star Online 2 controversy. And for more context, they literally named a robot that was black and brown that specifically.
And then the blaxploitation film reference, that one's like when it gets really malicious.
So it's like, come on. You can't just say that they didn't know and whatever, because there's a lot, this goes through a lot of people, and someone must have been like, oh my god, nice pun there, or whatever. Like, this surely isn't like some poor innocent person, because let's be real, adults are working on these games. They've been around, they've lived the same lives that we all have, and they have the same access to internet as we all do, so it's like, no, I feel like a lot of the times it's like, no, they didn't know, but they probably did, and they were like thinking that they were being cheeky about it, or that it was like a fun little reference or whatever, or sometimes seeing how much they can get away with it. You know what I mean? Like, I've definitely seen interviews before where, you know, devs have said and done things where like, oh, let me just, you know, put this animation in there and see if it goes through, or let me put this reference in there and see if anyone will catch it. And a lot of times people won't catch it. And I think my argument would be that why don't we have the ESRB, for example, who is responsible for rating games? Why don't they, you know, play the games, and instead of just rating them of like, oh, you know, there's violence in this, why don't you just literally tell them like, hey, this can't go through because there's offensive words, there's literal slurs in your game, there's questionable storylines, etc. Like, why doesn't that system that's already in place have the tools or utilizes tools to make sure that these things never even happen to begin with? You know what I mean?
Because they don't have the people in the room.
Right.
They don't have the people in the room. That's why. Like, to them, it's not offensive.
Yeah, and plus when
it's not even that. I have a fun fact. Oh, I'm sorry. You go ahead.
No, I want to hear the fun fact. Go.
Oh, okay, sorry. So the thing that like I was being like, put me in, coach. What Ruby said, why doesn't the ESRB do this? Because the system's broken, babes. The way the ESRB rates things is not that they are given a review copy of the game and they play through the whole thing. Because you probably noticed ESRB ratings are out usually, like oftentimes before the game has a release date or months before it's out. So before the retail copy is shipped. That's not how they're rated. The way they're rated is that the company in charge, the developing or publishing company, will take scenes, not gameplay, scenes that are filmed of what are considered the most offensive points of the game and send those to the ESRB to be rated. So if there's a scene in Phantasy Star Online 2 where somebody gets murderized in a really fucked up way, they will send that scene to the ESRB and say, this is the worst scene in the game, rated accordingly. If later on they're found to, you know, not be abiding, or that they left scenes out, or, you know, like the infamous GTA controversies with the hot coffee and the sex and the blah blah, then they can get in trouble. But not only would this probably be considered so minor, but it's also not something that technically has a rating. So if that's how the ESRB works, it's just not very good.
Yeah.
I was like so blown away when I found that out.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Unless something has changed, the ESRB rating was more so, I guess. I mean, at least at a time, it was more so to get, I guess, prevent kids from getting to games, which is how that
Right.
whole thing became a thing. So it's like, I don't know if they really care about it outside of that.
It's just sex and violence that they care about.
Yeah, it's just, it's like, because what was it like? Was it like, it was like the 90s, I know like Mortal Kombat happened, and then they were like, the kids are getting to the games and blah, 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 blah. So the rating was made for that. So I personally don't expect them to go, oh, is this offensive or is it like that? I mean, would it be nice? Sure, but I know better, so I don't expect anything out of them except to be like, is this something that parents are going to get pissed off about? And they'll still mess that up sometimes, but that was the point of it, and I wouldn't be surprised if that hasn't changed too much today.
Right. Yeah, I think
Honestly,
my main point. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, it's just that honestly, like with the ESRB, with like how bad parents are now, and like letting like literal like 8-year-olds still play Call of Duty and shit. It's just like I feel like the ESRB can afford like doing something else because their ratings don't fucking matter anymore.
No.
Yeah, that was my thing. Is like they need an update to their system, right? And whether it's like they have someone who kind of either gets a review copy of the game, because if they can afford to send it to influencers, they can afford to send it to the one or two people that are responsible for rating the game or whatever. So that could be a thing that they could do. And I get it that they would have to do a bit in advance, but even if that system doesn't change, there could be a system in place for whenever situations like this happens, they get in trouble for it. Because let's be honest, like publishers, devs, etc., they're not going to make any actual changes or patches to their games because it's necessarily like if they're suffering from it monetarily, right? If they're like, oh, they still bought it, you know what I mean? Like Last of Us Part 2, I'm going to mention it every time I can, but it's like they literally made the whole storyline of like, oh, people tried to like cancel us, or there was controversy, but we made it through and whatever. And it's like, yeah, because there's no system in place to get people in trouble for being like, hey, that's really fucked up, and you had that in your game, and people shouldn't have had to experience that unless there was, you know, a content warning, which that's kind of where I'm at with the SRB. Like saying depictions of blood isn't really saying what happens in the game, you know what I mean? And you don't have to spoil it, but you can easily have like, I don't know, like a QR code that people scan and that you can see like a list of trigger warnings or content warnings. It's 2021. I'm pretty sure there's easy ways of doing this, and people could do it, especially AAA studios.
Yes. Agreed completely. Like right now, the only way to do it is to support independent game reviewers who are, on the level, so to speak. Like they're gonna be knowledgeable about queer issues and racist issues and sensitive to content warnings, and that they will be able to accurately tell you, can you play this game or not, basically, or give you the appropriate warnings. But like to do that, we need to kill spoiler culture and we need to kill review embargoes, because like right now it's just not entirely possible. I don't play games on release, especially if I'm streaming them, because I don't know. I just don't know. Especially because I like horror stuff. What people do a lot, developers, is they'll say has disturbing imagery.
Yep.
What does that mean?
But
what does that mean?
Find out the hard way, unfortunately.
Literally. If it's a big fucked up weird body horror monster, fine, I don't care. But if you're gonna get into like sexual assault or like mutilation or something, it's an absolute no. And those unfortunately fall under the same category.
Right.
So, don't buy things on release, and fuck pre-orders too. Just trust the game, the reviewers who get the review copies, and take your time and make good decisions. And that's the best advice I can give you.
Especially on release, I remember like when Last of Us Part 2 came out, like so many people like played it on release, obviously not knowing what was going to happen. And then the big things that happened in that game happened, and like they just had to stop playing. They had to stop streaming it because it's just like they weren't prepared for that specific amount of triggers for those specific things that happened in the game to happen, especially as quickly as it did. So it's just like nobody was prepared. So it's just like it sucks that you can't play games at the start, but it's like so much safer to just wait and like see what comes of it after, because it's wild how things can just get through like that.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, if you're someone who is concerned about warnings, because I mean, some of them try to do a little bit better about it, but I don't think that not enough as they probably should for some people. And it's just if you're someone who like again a horror game, and you feel that it may potentially have something that's going to be offensive or anything of that nature, just wait a little bit. I mean, like a few days or something. Like you don't have to get it day one. You don't have to pre-order digital content.
With no extras. Keep
No
it in mind.
extras. But I mean, if that's something that things that can personally upset you or your audience, just wait a little bit. Because I mean, if you're not, they still should do that. But it's like you don't want to just go all the way in. And there's probably some people who will be able to tell you that thing. There's some people who may not be offended by it, but they could say, so here are some people that will be, and these are some people who should avoid that. Just wait a few days, like especially when it's like single player content. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But they do need to do, I think, a little bit better about that, because there are people who just, due to their life experiences, don't want to, see these things in video games. Right. And then to be having to confront that, and, that doesn't just go well for people. And, that's where we, I mean, I wouldn't say that's where we are. I think we've been here. It's just that it hasn't been enough, voices loud enough. And that's one of the good things about the internet, is that we can hear these people and, do something about it. And I don't think it's that that difficult. I mean, you don't have to like spoil the game. I mean, if it is something that's spoiler, but then heck, put it out there and let them know this is going to be spoiled. This is what's going on.
Yeah, because like even oh my god, not me forgetting name. Tell Me Why. Like it even had like trigger warnings and was like even like, okay, we're gonna go into spoiler territory here, but like this is what happens. So like this is a trigger, so you can just like prepare yourself now. Like I like that they at least went through that with Tell Me Why, to be like, hey, like this happens, and like although this is tied with the story, it's only in this part, but we're just gonna tell you it's here. And like it's slightly spoilery, but like, well, you can open the spoilers if you need to. Like I very much like that. I just wish that was commonplace.
And it wasn't even like a spoiler big enough that you would be like, oh my god, the game is ruined for me.
Right.
It's like, oh, okay, cool. Good to know. A lot of the times it's more like that. It's like, okay, good to know. I feel like there's a fear with some of these companies that they're afraid that like, oh, my game tackles that topic, therefore people are not gonna buy it. And it's like, not necessarily. Like some people can, some people don't mind certain topics, some people don't mind certain issues, and it also depends on how it's handled. And I feel like a part of it also is like maybe they're not confident enough that they handled certain things in the best way, and they don't want to be held accountable for it, but that's another story for another day. Speaking of games we're not pre-ordering until we know that they're good, there's updates on Final Fantasy XVI.
Not this segue.
Listen, I will believe it when I see it. You know what I mean? Like I said the same thing about 15. I said the same thing about 7 remake. I will only believe these games exist when there's a literal download button and I can purchase them and play them in that same day. But over the past couple days, off of the time that we're recording this, there was a Final Fantasy XIV live letter, which was like a huge live stream, a lot of updates on the future of Final Fantasy XIV. And for people who are not aware, the producer of Final Fantasy XIV is the producer of 16, and he may have spilled some tea on on the progress that they've done on Final Fantasy 16, which I will get into it, but I really like that we're managing expectations in advance so that people don't get, upset. But essentially, the producer, Naoki Yoshida, said that the team has finished the main story for Final Fantasy XVI, and that they're basically almost done recording the English voiceovers. So as far as expectations, people should not expect an appearance of Final Fantasy XVI at the Tokyo Game Show this year, which is sometime from September 30th to October 3rd. And they honestly, I love this approach. He said, you'll know more information when it's ready. So, and you know what? Yes, keep us in the dark for as much as you want and as much as you can, because we all know what happened with Final Fantasy 15. And if you don't know what happened, that game went through hell and back. It was supposed to be a 13 spin-off, and people were super excited for it, and then it became 15, and then they showed it at different, showcases, Tokyo Game Show being a few of the times where the game was shown, and then the final version came out, and it was nothing like the versions that they showcased before. And so yes, just develop your game. Don't let us know anything that's going on. Maybe update us on the progress here and there, but don't show us any footage. Don't tell us anything about the story, and then we'll just consume it whenever it happens, and we'll make a judgment for ourselves. I love that.
Right.
What do y'all think?
Okay, with this, the announcement itself, yes, I absolutely love it. I'm glad that they're setting expectations. Do I still feel like I'm gonna get the game? Probably not, but I would love to see it. But my main issue is, mind you, I'm 99% sure this 16 announcement was in an 18-hour 14 live stream.
It was.
So it's like,
Buried.
why are you gonna put this little announcement of like 5 minutes in an 18-hour 14 live stream? Like, what are you doing? Like, I like the announcement, and I'm not sure where else they would do it. And like, Yoshi P's there, so I get he would like say something probably, but like, I guarantee you 99% of the people going there for 14 are there for 14.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody was expecting 16 news. And then all the other people are like, oh hey, like there was random 16 news at a 14 stream for all the people that don't play 14.
Right.
They're like, why was it there? So it's just like, it's so confusing to me why they would like just be like, oh hey, yeah, like 16's like going well, and we're just like, we're on 14, mama. Like,
Yeah.
Isn't the producer of 14 the same producer for 16?
Yeah, I think they just didn't want to
yeah.
make a big deal out of it. They were like, there was probably someone that said like, hey, there's enough comments for us to address that you are the producer of 16, and people are asking about it. Maybe that's my only theory. It's like, it's the record, and I see this as more of like, yeah, don't expect anything for Tokyo Games Show. It's not happening. We're working on it. It's in progress. We finished the story. Get over it. Like, I think it was more like that. Like, hey, we're here for 14, but let me just quickly just say this, and then so that y'all don't get annoyed when TGS comes around and people are like, where's 16? Which is still gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be real. I do think it's a bit of a stratagem, as they say. The same reason when CDPR realized how much information had been leaked from their staff, they released that statement, like, oh, we're so sorry, at 6 p.m. on a Friday during E3. Like, the subterranean announcement that no one will see, because this is technically them announcing a delay. Right, like they've really been amping up Final Fantasy 16 as if it's gonna come out like this year. So I think they were like, by the way, it's gonna be a while. Sorry, bye Final Fantasy fans, and then right back to 14. Okay, we're fine. Like, very bad.
I had zero expectations that this game would come out this year. Zero expectations that this
Well, you
year.
know how to
Like, there
manage
was
them,
no.
Rowan.
Yeah.
Yeah, says me, the one who was like, we're gonna get a Switch Pro news, y'all. We're gonna get Switch Pro during Nintendo.
Okay, look,
E3.
Nintendo gave you the brainworms, and we can't fault you for that. But this is a little you know with Square Enix.
Well, I mean, yeah, with Square Enix and like Final Fantasy games, and like how long we have been waiting in between each one, and how hype everyone gets in between each one, for like the new game to come out. Especially seeing how it's not the MMORPG or anything like that. It's like literally our next mainline game. Like I just knew, like when they announced it, I was like, oh girl, we're not seeing this until end of 2022. Bet we're not seeing this game till end of 2022 for sure. With everything that they showed, I was like, no, this ain't gonna be ready. If the English voice actors are just finishing, then they have to put that in.
Yep.
Lord knows what else they have to fix. Like this game isn't coming. Like I guess I guess it's nice to know, like, hey, we're still working on it. But I guess that is also just by them saying that, it's just like, hey, just so you know, this game's not coming out this year.
Right.
Like,
or next year.
Yeah, or in the first like 2 quarters of next year. Like it might come out Q3, Q4.
Yeah.
At the earliest.
23.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, I guess it's just nice to know. I mean, we have not seen anything else since, what was that, State of Play that they showed it?
Yeah, it was, I think, September
Was
last
it State
year.
of Play or was it the PS5 announcement? They showed it at the PS5 announcement.
Yeah, it was the State of
I
Play
think.
that was like about PS5 content, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we haven't seen anything or heard anything else about it. So I guess it's like nice to know. Nice to know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I really like this approach. I don't fault them for saying it like that. I think it's definitely like a strategy for people to not expect too much out of maybe seeing gameplay or anything of the sort. Because I like the idea of them taking their time, hopefully, with this game.
Hoping.
Yeah, hopefully.
Please. Please.
I just don't think that they can afford to just do another 15, because I feel like people felt strongly about that, and the game never recovered, I feel, from that rough launch. And you would think that the person who saved Final Fantasy 14 would be like, no guys, I promise you, if we release it like this, we're gonna have to do more work to fix it. So you trusted me with 14, trust me with 16. And honestly, if this man saves the Final Fantasy franchise, I will be forever thankful to him.
Right.
Yeah, because from what we saw from the Origins game, at least what Pants told us, like, no.
The demo
Like,
is rough, yeah.
Yeah,
No.
I haven't even seen it.
Game.
I haven't even watched like any demo play or anything of it. Like, but if Pants is saying no, I kind of have to respect that opinion. Be like,
Right.
okay, I believe you. It's something. Exactly, it's something.
It's a gnar from me.
It's an hour for me. Vibes.
Right. Well,
Well,
we're not playing the Final Fantasy Origins demo or Final Fantasy 16 demo, but what are we playing?
Love that.
Well,
Full of segues today. I love it.
The segues today.
I'm just trying my best.
You're doing it.
You did
You're
it.
doing it.
Yay.
Oh my god, yay! Doing my
posting
job.
skills level 100.
Oh god, this is what happens when I wake up like an hour or two before the podcast. My brain is actually working by the time I get here. So we love that. But yeah, Ruin, what have you been up to?
I have been playing Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. I just normally like grind out like shards and stuff, because that game is a little it's not very nice when it comes to money or like trying to get abilities in that game. So, but I've been playing that. I've also been playing Animal Crossing and I Switch Lite because I can have a different island. And that's the only reason why I want the Switch OLED, is to have another island.
What we need an intervention.
Yes.
You do not need 3
Literally.
fucking islands.
If few
You
months
think you
ago,
are Jeff Bezos?
I almost bought the Animal Crossing Switch because it's cute, but also I could have a third island because I'm just one of those people that it's just like, oh, I can't like just delete it all, or oh, I can't get rid of it. The memories. This is the first time I did this. This is the first time I did this. Like, I'm just one of those people where I like can't do it. Do not look at I've also been playing Final Fantasy 14. I will tell you, I have about 5 or 6 retainers on Final Fantasy 14, and they're all filled to the max with items because I'm like, I might need these one day, or these are memories from when I first started playing the game. So
Stop that.
She's a hoarder, Your Honor. She hoards.
She does.
Matt would say the same thing about me. So yeah. That's what I've been playing. What about you, Ruby?
Oh my god. I'm certainly not on my third Animal Crossing playthrough. My one and only playthrough has been very neglected. I've gone to that point where I'm like, I'm afraid of logging in because all my villagers are just gonna drag me and make me feel bad about myself, and then having to clean everything. No, ma'am. So that's not happening. I actually, speaking of, Final Fantasy, I did beat Final Fantasy VII Remake. Yay, finally, after 10,000 years.
After 50 million months, yeah.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, if you stream and if you play JRPGs, don't do it once a week. Don't do it. It's gonna take you a while.
You gotta commit. You gotta commit.
Yeah, it's gonna take you a long time, and then you get distracted by other games, etc., etc. Moral of the story: I loved it. I really did. My last words playing that game was "fuck this game" because it made me tear up right at the end, and I was like, "How dare you!" I feel betrayed, attacked, and victimized. So I was like, "No, not this, not on this day." But I really loved it. I mean, I can't say enough about it. I have an issue, several issues with it being the DLC being a PS5 exclusive. But, it is what it is. They made their choices, and I'm making mine, which is not getting a PS5 anytime soon. Because I can't get it. And I don't want to for a singular DLC of a singular game. So we'll wait until there's more games down the line. So yeah. Besides that, I haven't really been up to anything else. I've been really kind of slowing down a little bit on the things that have to do with streaming. So I literally just streamed Final Fantasy VII Remake this week every day until I beat it. And then once I did that, I just kind of took time off until today. So love that for me. But yeah, that's basically been it. Just casually getting through games one at a time. What about you, Lotus?
I've been playing almost nothing. I've had a week off, so I've been trying to minimize my screen time like as much as possible because these glasses are real and they're only gonna get worse. I think the only thing I've been doing, oh god, it's my guilty pleasure. I have to have one, or I'll go wild. It is League of Legends. All I have been playing is ARAM. Which, for anyone who doesn't know, is essentially like an arcade mode in League. Instead of being the whole map with all the strategy and the da-da-da-da-da, you get random champions, they throw both teams in the same place, and they just tell you to go apeshit, and I think it's so fun. I've accidentally dragged in a few other people who had stopped playing League like I did, and I was like, on Twitter, I was like, oh gosh, I saw someone play ARAM, and it made me miss it, so if anyone wants to add me, like, you can add me. 5 stacks every day. just messing around. It's lovely, especially because
bad for me tweet.
Well, the thing is, I said it thinking no one's gonna respond to this. Everyone I know hates League of Legends, and somehow we are full like every single day. And the best part is a lot of them are newer players, so by comparison, I'm super good. It's so funny. But yes, that's been my guilty pleasure. Just messing around, having a good time, making fun of League of Legends characters because they're all corny as hell. And a little bit of Mixolumia, as always. I love Mixolumia, for anyone who doesn't know.
Well, I guess someone has to be playing League of Legends, right? I say that as if it's not like literally one of the most active games still to this day.
Someone has to play League of Legends and be critical about it, and that's me.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Koga, what have you been up to?
Oh, goodness gracious. So of course, no surprise on my Dokkan device. I've been playing, well, Dokkan.
I love that you call it a
This is
Dokkan device.
Yeah, this is officially my Dokkan device. I don't know like how I've probably done more of that than anything on this phone. It's the 6-year anniversary this month, so yep. I'm gonna be playing that a lot. The 2 new banners came out. They're like 50 stones per summon. I went in with 1,500. I didn't get one of the newer ones until I was down to like 300. And I got the second one off of my free last ticket. I was about to throw a fit.
Oh no.
And the fit is my phone. You're about to get tossed.
Not that.
About to fit now.
I'm like, I can't get shafted like this after I keep telling these free-to-play players to stop summoning on these crap banners. And then I save my stones thinking I'm about to be just sitting here in all wealth. And then like, so I didn't get anything. But luckily I did.
No.
But that was way too long. I mean, it wasn't bad. I pulled like everything else on the banners. It's just that the 2 new ones, because they're on 2 separate banners, just took a long time to get to me. So I'm done with it's a 3-part anniversary. So oh goodness. But
Wow.
outside of that, Doom, I played a little bit of Doom Eternal. They did get an update about a week or so ago where it received ray tracing. Oh my god. It looks really nice, and I don't know how they managed to have this game as optimized as it does. Like the game runs very well on PC. And even if you have like a 2060 RTX 2060, you'll be able to do ray tracing just fine. And it looks pretty nice. It's not like required or anything like that. But yes, sometimes when I'm like walking around fighting people and there's a mirror, I like to see if there's a fireball coming behind me and I can see it in the reflections. So it is pretty interesting on that. Speaking of ray tracing, so of course, as some of you know, I did get Super Mario All-Stars on the Switch. So I was thinking, what about on PC? There is a ray tracing mod on PC for that game, and I'm like, oh goodness, I have to try this out. It's okay. It's all right. It's like still in the works and whatnot, but it is nice to just have like certain reflections and certain lightings just there. It's not required stuff. It's just stuff that just makes it look a little bit nicer. Speaking of Switch, I've been playing like off and on a few things. Like I was playing with my roommates, so we were playing Smash Brothers, Mario Kart 8. Bought some game for like $2 while I was on sale. Motor. It was some motorcycle game. I don't know. It wasn't that great, but for $2, I guess you just keep going forward until you crash or something. It was $2, okay? It was like some kind of mobile game or something. So
Like Excitebike?
I was gonna say like Trials.
Yeah, definitely not that. No, it wasn't that. That's better. But I don't know. I don't remember the name of it. Trying to think, was I playing anything else? That might have been. I think that might have been about it. Just mostly. It's mostly just Dokkan this week for the most part.
That's valid. That's more gaming than the previous 3 people before you did. So you're
honestly
doing
feel
the
like I'm missing
thing.
something.
Ruin's like, excuse me, I'm a gamer.
I played Fortnite. I won some
Okay,
games.
okay.
I saw you win.
That reminds me. See, y'all reminded me. I was also playing Pac-Man 99. I made it to like 3rd place, and that's too hard. Everything gets on the screen, and I start getting confused.
That
it's
game
like,
is so stressful.
It is. Like if you get to like the last maybe like 20 or 10, like then like you have like the white Pac-Man, and then the red ones show up, and then you have all the ghosts, and I'm just like, it's only a matter of time before I lose where I'm at. Because I feel like I just get like assaulted in the corner. But like 3rd is the best that I could do. I try. The funny thing is I don't even know what apparently there's like power-ups on the left that it mentions like speed and all that. I don't even know what that is or how you activate it. I was like, I didn't even notice it was there. I was just trying not to die.
Good for you getting third though, and not
Yeah.
knowing what those things were. Like,
Yeah.
But it wasn't first, and if you ain't first, you're last.
Oh no, not that.
Well,
It is fun though, but it's hectic. Okay, that was all I think.
iconic. What about you, Jam?
I have been playing Yakuza because it's on Game Pass, and we are a Game Pass stan per usual. I'm still in Yakuza 0, but I'm loving it. It's a lot of fun. And then when I got my computer back, I started playing Cuphead again, and I love that game so much, and it's amazing and wonderful. And everyone should always play it, even though it's really hard.
Listen,
But yeah, that's what I've been playing.
I want to look at it, not play it. That game, too much for me. I could.
When I get
never.
my life back together and I'm back on stream, you can watch me.
I'll
play.
watch you. Yeah, absolutely.
Come chat with me while I lose. So I don't
We
get
lived through
angry.
jam.
I just encourage, like, you got this. Oh my god, you were so close. You can do it. And I'm just like, I don't know.
the best thing about watching Jam play it is that Jam doesn't get frustrated
Yeah.
with the game. He is just like, yeah, okay, I died,
Yeah.
try again. Like, it's just like, that's the best thing about it in comparison to other people. It's just like, oh god damn, me,
Yeah, I was gonna say that's you.
But Jam's just like, oh, okay, we made it to third phase. We're almost to third phase or fourth phase or whatever. Like, that's okay. We'll get it next time. Dies in first phase. Like, hey, that's cool. Like,
That's very
Jam's just
much
so
my
nice to watch.
aesthetic.
Yeah.
It's like, that's okay, we died. It's
They're
fine.
like,
We'll get
yeah,
there.
it's-
Oh, we'll try another one.
Yeah.
We'll try a different one. Maybe we'll beat that one.
Yeah,
We'll come
let's just
back.
go somewhere else. We'll come back.
Just literally like a small inconvenience. Like, oh, anyway, what were we talking about? Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the rest of us would be screaming off the top of our lungs.
Ruin being like, I'm calm as a cucumber, and then dies in Donkey Kong Country and leaves the room.
I don't play stressful games. I'm cool as a cucumber. Falls off the edge. Okay, bye.
Plays that clip of Ruin playing Fall Guys and screaming the whole match.
Oh my god.
I just want to win.
Uh-huh.
Iconic.
What about you, Dex? What have you been playing?
Okay, so the usual weeklies and dailies and 14. I try to do my little things in Fortnite sometimes, and if friends are on, I guess I'll drag myself onto the game. And then also I've really been vibing with my my retro tees. I've been playing Need for Speed Underground 2. I've been like blasting through that because I just love it so much. And the DLC for Watch Dogs Legion downloaded a week ago, so I might play that this week. So I'm really excited to see more of that game. But that's like all for me.
Iconic. Let us know, anyone watching, listening, let us know what you're playing and what you're up to
Yeah,
these
what have
days.
you been playing?
Yeah, please tell us. Do it now.
Pop off in the comments
Call in
below.
Pop off, sis.
Pop off,
We're just gonna like rainbow wash our outro, like sashay away into our comment section.
Not
Hi,
that.
Gabe.
Actually,
Tell us what you.
Hi, Gabe.
Hi, gays.
I
When
quickly
one
became
video ends,
homophobic.
just open up another one.
It's called binge watching.
Don't worry.
I support
I
it.
support you.
You know what? I am gonna leave.
I've seen that. I'm screaming.
Ruin and I are forcibly removed from the Discord call.
Do you want more Just Gaming Tingz content? Oh God, we need to go.
Wow.
Yep. Before Dex blocks us on all social media platforms, let us know where can people find your social medias, Dex, so they can
Where
find
can
you.
y'all find me before I block y'all?
Before he leaves Just Gaming Tingz, so you know where to find Dex in case he leaves us throughout the next few days.
Right. You can find me at Dextralicious on Twitch and YouTube, and you can find me on Twitter at Dex is a Mess, or my barren wasteland of a portfolio Twitter, Dextraliciously.
Ooh, iconic behavior. Jam.
You can find me on all social media at jam_5899, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram. I got a TikTok that has old videos of me doing little dances. So if you want to see it, you can see it
Ooh.
there. No new ones though, because we stopped doing that. And,
Me,
Call them out.
More
You know.
dances, more dances.
me
Probably.
me
We'll see.
not
We'll
logging
see.
into TikTok to make my own content. I'm like, I'll watch someone else do stuff. I'm not doing stuff.
Exactly. But yeah, you can find me on all of there. On Twitter is where you will usually find me liking all of my friends' things, sometimes tweeting about things that I don't tweet about on my main account because I'm like, this is supposed to be a secret and I can't share it on my main one yet, so I'm gonna share it here.
We love to see it. Get
Shut
into
up,
it.
I didn't do anything.
You did do something. Don't even act brand
That's
new.
all.
Ruin doing the most,
Jax,
saying he
shut the
didn't
fuck
do
up.
anything.
I didn't do anything.
You know what you did.
Please show the class what I did.
Oh my god. Anyway, Koga, please let's change the topic.
You can find me here and on Twitter here on Twitch and Twitter at Koga_Jangles. I should be streaming sometime this week. I tried last night, but the weather said no and knocked out my internet like
Oh my
30
God,
minutes.
same.
So yeah, that was very fun. I don't know what I'll be playing. I'll probably just try to do another Switch night or something where I just play whatever I feel like playing on that. But yeah. What about yourself, Lotus? Where can we find you?
Well, I'm glad you asked. You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Patreon at Lotus Loves Lotus. Yeah, well, you know how YouTube is. They don't give out those URLs for free, so you'd have to search me, but you can find me. It's all good. I was on a break this week, but I'll be coming back. Red Strings Club, Subnautica Below Zero. Probably something spooky is what I'm feeling, something scary for a Friday. And I think I told myself I wouldn't do it, but Psychonauts 2 officially has a release date in late August, and so I think I'm going to play it again.
Stop already.
I've played it like 6 times on stream, and I'm gonna do it one more time. I played it for my birthday in April, and I was like, that's gonna be the last one, because it's not gonna come out till later.
Well,
I'm gonna make a definitive edition, and I won't play. Well, I'm not gonna promise that, but I won't play it again this year.
Okay, there you go. That's fair. That's fair. I just love, like, recently I went to Lotus's stream and I heard that exact phrasing, the definite playthrough, and I was like, just say you want to play it again. Just let's.
Well, no, because
play it again.
the thing is with Psychonauts is there's a bunch of I guess if you compare it to an RPG or a JRPG, there's extra cutscenes that you can get in between the main missions. And every time I play it, I get too excited and I forget to go look at them because I just blast through the game. So I'll try to get all of them and get all my thoughts about the game out and what's good and what's bad. It will be the definitive playthrough.
All right, you heard it here first.
Exclusive content.
Or I guess second.
By you, Ruby.
You can find me at Project Ruby on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Ko-Fi. Listen, I am kind of distancing myself just a little bit from streaming. Not quitting, don't worry. I'm like a fucking cockroach. I've been around for 5 years, and you're not gonna get rid of me anytime soon. But I do want to venture out into, being more active on other platforms and stuff like that. Because I don't want to be, just that one thing. I want to be able to make content, and I get inspired by the amazing people in this group and other amazing people that I follow and stuff like that. And I get inspired to just do more. And turns out after taking a break, I got excited about making content. Didn't realize that part of it wasn't going to be on Twitch. It was me coming back from a break, seeing a bunch of streamer discourse on social media and being like, I don't think I want to be a part of this. So, and just kind of not wanting to be too much a part of streaming culture. With that being said, I will be podcasting tomorrow on my Twitch channel. So I'm back to the quote unquote regular version of Breakfast at Ruby's, which is going to be just casual conversations with some of your favorite content creators. And more on that soon on Twitter and stuff. You know where to find it. I already said it, so love to see it. Ruin, what about you?
You can find me at the core 4 pillars of the circus. You can find me on TikTok. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Twitch. You can find me on Twitter. All at Ruin Crown, the 4 pillars of the circus.
Not the 4 pillars of the circus.
4 pillars.
The 4 posts that hold up the tent.
That's such an amazing way of putting it, though. Like, I was so... Yeah, I covered my face. If y'all are not watching the video version, I fully covered my face because I could not handle.
And if I ever get into YouTube, we'll add a 5th pillar.
Oh my god!
All of my previous content will have to be destroyed.
The big one.
We'll have to rebrand. Just throw everything out. All of my old documentaries, just throw it out. Throw it out.
Throw it out. You know, it's fine. Rebrand. Y'all, it's been such a great podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. If you made it this far, consider following us on your favorite platform of choice, whether that is Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Spotify. You can find us. It's me.
We're there.
Figuring out in my brain in real time what platforms exist, and I'm like, what platforms are we on? And so I just you saw that brain processing happen, which, you know, slow processing power, let's just say that. But yeah, we'll see you next week with another episode here, there, and everywhere. Have a good week, everybody. Bye.
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 Bye.